On today's show, Steph Curry is out, and the verdict is out from head coach Steve Kerr, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler. This team is extremely average. Sounds like they think this team is soft as well. How do they change that? That's what we're talking about.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
What are they going to say now?
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Locked On Warriors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. If your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. My name's Charlie Walter, coming at you live the morning of. It's the New Orleans Pelicans and the Golden State Warriors tonight. If you ever wanted a get-right game, it's the team that you just slaughtered about a week ago where Moses Moody went for 7 threes in the first half. The difference, 7 threes in the first quarter, I should say. The difference, the Warriors will not have Steph Curry. We'll get to that. We'll get to Draymond Green saying the Dubs are soft and Steve Kerr saying this team is average. The big issues that Golden State is facing right now, and could a trade potentially help this team. Appreciate everyone tuning in for the live show today from the swamp. We're down in Florida going live, and we will discuss how things are going for the Warriors right now. Let's start it off with a little Steve Kerr. Warriors are what their record is, right?
What did Bill Parcells say? You are what your record says you are. So we're 10-10. We're an average team, and I think we have the potential for much more. And it's my job as coach to help these guys find that rhythm that can give us some juice, some separation, some confidence, and so I believe in them.
Well, I don't, Doug. What's that quote? Happy Gilmore. Well, I'm not. I don't currently believe in this team right now with the way they've been playing. I know that we thought it was going to be the extension of last year where they were playing such good basketball. You have that starting lineup of Pods, Moody, Draymond, Jimmy, and Steph that just found gold and took their way into the playoffs at what? I think it was 23-8 or something along those lines, and things seem to be humming. And this year, it's just been clunky. Started off hot. The mojo was there. The vibes were good. You thought they were going to race off to a pretty good start because Steph Curry said so. He said this team felt a lot like that 21-22 squad that started 18-2. The youth infusion has not necessarily worked. You can't entirely blame the youth. You got to point to a lot of coaching. The rotations have not made a lot of sense. Players that has seemingly deserved more minutes, a la Will Richard, Quentin Post, they've been kind of yanked in and out of the lineup. So you point to that as being somewhat of an issue. But then the players themselves, that's the biggest thing. Coaching, look, you can take Steve Kerr out of there and throw Terry Stotts in the chair. And I know a lot of viewers of the show think that's going to cure everything. No, it's a top to bottom roster issue. There are significant flaws. I mean, Jimmy Butler said it best. This team cannot rely on Steph Curry being, he used the term Batman. He can't be Batman and save the day every single night. Saw someone comment the other day saying that Steph Curry, he's not scary anymore, doesn't put fear into teams. And I'm just like, that. What are we talking about? He just went for 46 and 49 in back-to-backs against a top 4 team in the West in San Antonio. Went for 40 against Denver. He's putting up 30 seemingly every night. Like, yes, with a quad contusion, he doesn't scare you nearly as much. But that is not the issue that the Warriors have right about now. The exact update on what Steph Curry is dealing with. It is a quad contusion. That is what the MRI stated. He will be reevaluated again in 1 week. And this is big evaluation time right now for the Warriors, in my opinion. It is evaluate and make some tough decisions, because if they do not look good during this stretch with Curry or without Curry, it is time to make some serious moves. I know my co-host Kolsky, and he's probably watching right now, and he may hop in backstage because he's got the account, and he'll be on later tonight for the Pelicans post game. But he says they need more time. They need, more minutes. They need more continuation. They need more trust. They need all these things. I call BS. They just need new young players. They need more talent. It shouldn't take this long. We're in year 5 for most of these guys. We're in year 3 for Pajimski. We're in year 3 for Trace Jackson Davis. Like the list goes on and on of young players that just at a certain point, if it walks like a duck and if it quacks like a duck, the players aren't good enough. And it's, what do we want from this year's team? Do we want them to sneak into a play-in, and by sneak in 7 or 8 seed, get to the first round and take on OKC or take on Houston or take on Denver in the first round? Look, when you have number 30 on your team, you have a chance. That's the beautiful thing about this current iteration of Warriors basketball compared to some other teams. Like, you look at the Atlanta Hawks in the East. They have a better record than the Warriors right now. But who do you think realistically has a better chance of making a run in the playoffs? Atlanta or Golden State? I think we can all agree it's probably the Warriors, because they have that dude that Atlanta just does not have. Jalen Johnson, though, very nice player, had a triple-double on Friday night. But when you have Curry, you have a chance. You also have a responsibility to put better players around Curry if that opportunity presents itself. And that's what I want to get into later in the show, because I'm going to bring up a name that's going to piss off a lot of people. It's Anthony Davis. No, Chuck, don't do it. Don't do it. Here's the thing about Anthony Davis. He looked decently healthy in the game against the LA Lakers on Friday night. Had 12 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, kind of light work. They just threw him out there for 28 minutes to get his sea legs under him. The Warriors are in a position right now where the only chance, in my opinion, they have to win this thing is, one, extreme internal development, which I don't believe is going to happen. At a certain point, you are who you are. Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, Quentin Post, Trace Jackson Davis, Gary Payton, Will Richard, this core that supplements the big three, they are who they are. Will they get better? Yes. Will this team be average all year? No. I think they're going to get better than this. But I do think there is some separation from the top of the West down to the Warriors. That's where the issue lies, though. You look when this thing was humming a week, 2 weeks in, beating Denver, crushing LA on the road. And you're like, maybe there is something there. And then you lose all faith after a 3-game losing streak, and you sweep San Antonio with Wembanyama on the floor. And you're like, maybe we don't need to touch this thing. And then another 3-game losing streak protrudes. So it's just extremely confusing. But I will say this, champions aren't this inconsistent. The only team I can think of that went to a championship that was this inconsistent this early was the Boston Celtics the year that the Warriors beat them. They had these inconsistencies and they were able to flip it around. But I'm not a believer right now that this current iteration will flip it. And I think Mike Dunleavy knows this. And this is a huge evaluation point without Steph Curry. If these young guys don't show the capabilities to step up when the team needs them to step up, you hear the body, you see the body language, you hear the energy coming from their voices. They're not on the same page here. There may be a little bit of a fire sale coming. I want to talk about the defense. Then we will get into more of how the Warriors can kind of get better. And like I said, it's internally. 2 is somehow you go out and fleece a team. And 3 is you take a massive gamble. And that's what Anthony Davis would be. He'd be a massive gamble. Now, again, is it even possible to get him? I think you may have to include Draymond Green for salary purposes. It would have to be $54 million of Anthony Davis. So it would have to be Draymond, Kuminga, Pajimski, and then why would Dallas want to do that? You would probably have to bring in other teams, someone that wants to take on Draymond that makes sense. Lakers, Denver, a team that wants a defensive stopper. And you'd probably also have to include a first rounder, maybe even unprotected, to Dallas for them to make that deal. But again, when you have a player like AD that's still young enough, that played 71 games a couple of years ago, that played 51 last year, and that's a legit 22-10 guy on his worst day. And he's someone that just would help the offense and help the defense and help the overall team. We'll get into more of that. And the perfect player that the Warriors could use He's on the LA Clippers right now. Mr. Zubac. How would they get him? Literally just got the doorbell from housekeeping. Housekeeping? I don't need you today. I'm good. Thank you. Sorry I had to do that live, but at a certain point, the show must go on as the doorbell rings again. I guess she's just going to come out and say, would you like fresh new linens? I'm good. Thank you. Let's get to a word from our sponsors and continue the program. After this, it's Locked On Warriors.
Who can stop Steph Curry?
Hopefully we'll never find out.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at DoorDash. DoorDash is the place to get all your deliveries, not just food, but anything you like, from headphones to ice. DoorDash makes it extremely easy. Reasons I love DoorDash. One, they make your game night even better because they're the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they celebrate something called the bag drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points in a game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day, and you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. We're talking player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, and stuff you actually want. So next time someone goes for 50, use promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off DoorDash with Dash Pass, plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only, 50% off, up to $10 the day after a 50-point game with promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. It ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. Today's episode is also brought to you by our favorite jeanswear. It is the folks over at Doer. With a store in San Francisco, Doer is the place to get to right now. 567 Street in Hayes Valley. Check them out and see why I think they're the best jeans on this planet. The Denim Performance Slim Straight. I packed them in my bag this vacation. It's because they're comfortable. They look good. You can wear them anywhere and everywhere. They also have Cool Max that regulates your body temperature and wicks away moisture. They feel stretchy without looking stretchy. 5 times the stretch of traditional denim. Simply put, Doer makes the world's most comfortable pants without having to sacrifice style. Trust me, I legit wear them every single day. Mention my promo code LOCKEDONSF in store to get 15% off your first order, or check them out online at shopdoer.com/LockedOnSF for 15% off. That is Doer, DUER.com/LockedOnSF. All right, let's get back to the program.
And buddy, stop trying to dribble the ball.
All right, so what's the biggest issue right now with the Warriors? Is it offensively? Is it defensively? Kerr has said it's the offense, and he's not worried about the defense. Draymond Green rebuked that take. He said it's the defense, which leads into the offense, and rather the offense leads into the defense. What do I mean by this? Let's just put it how Jimmy Butler said it, basically saying that when guys miss shots, the collective unit falls asleep. They don't bring that same intensity. When shots are going down, everything's humming for the Warriors. You saw it in that start against the Rockets. You miss a few shots, things look entirely different. That is not a recipe for winning games, and Draymond Green knows it. He's pissed.
Because it's not necessarily the numbers. Like, how do you feel when you're out there, you know? And if it's just letdown after letdown, it's bigger than the numbers, you know what I'm saying? So, like, defense is about demeanor, you know? Like, so if there's letdown after letdown and it kills your demeanor, it kills your bravado, then you're just a soft team, you know? And so, what does the other team feel when you're defending it? And right now, they don't feel no force. So, even if you're getting stops, like, yeah, we got great coaches, we're going to have a good scheme. But what about the force? We don't have that.
How do you find that as a group?
It requires individuals, all of us as individuals, to take on your challenge. And if you take on your challenge, then we can make the team thing work. It starts with point of attack for sure, but it's not just one guy point of attack. It's all of us that end up on a point of attack we're getting blown by. And then our rotations suck. I'm not helping great. So it's a domino effect. So point of attack must always be great. But when you get beat at a point of attack, then what happens? And right now we kind of suck at it.
This is a perfect comment that comes up. It says the media who is pro Kerr is afraid to talk about Buddy and Pods. perfect time, perfect segue with point of attack being brought up. Both those guys suck at point of attack, and both those guys have had a terrible season. There. Can we continue the conversation now? Because it always gets brought up with this team that it's just Buddy and it's just Pods. Look, both those guys get injured. This team doesn't look any better. At a certain point, you go up and down the roster, and there's just not the juice. There's not the juice there right now. Point of attack, picking up, like when Moses Moody is supposed to be your guy, and he's not a laterally quick dude. And I know that he's pretty long, and he gives it his all out there, but he's getting beat off the bounce. Kuminga was getting torched off the bounce before he was gone. Pods gets torched off the bounce every single time. Buddy can't stay in front of anyone. Jimmy's not staying in front of people. Like, it is what Draymond said, a collective effort from the entire team. The boxing out is bad. The rotations are horrible. Don't get me started on that. At a certain point, they just need a different look. And that's why I brought up the name Anthony Davis. It could be a potential disaster. It could be like that Brooklyn Nets move, 10 years ago, where they went after, Paul Pierce and Rondo and Kevin Garnett and all these guys that were kind of past their primes. Like that's how it could look. And then you're stuck with a contract for 3 seasons. It's a disaster. But what's the alternative? Being stuck as an average basketball team? Because unless you think this team's going to turn it around, that's what they are. So you have a few options that you can do here. You can make you can make a move that makes sense into the future, and that to me is Zubac from the Clippers. He's young enough to where you can sign him and he can be a big man of the future. The question is, would he even be on the table? Clippers are bad. Maybe a guy like Kuminga is of interest to them. You could make the money work that way. You could sprinkle in a first rounder. Don't want to get too crazy, but LA continuing to be bad could potentially be the best thing for the Warriors if they were willing to get rid of him, because he's someone that would help out immensely. But the name that is actually on the market right now that makes sense, like people can say Vooch. Vooch is someone that can pick and pop. Vooch has actually been pretty decent defensively this year compared to some other years in his career. He's had a really good year, don't get me wrong. But AD is the one that makes the most sense on his, doesn't even need to be his best day, because his best day, obviously it makes sense. Just on his like average healthy day, he makes sense. Think of how the offense could potentially look. We'll start with that before the defense. You no longer have to do 5 out everything and just drive and kick and just pass it around the perimeter and try to, back cut your way into points. You can actually go inside out for the first time in forever, because you're not doing that with Horford. You're not doing that with Post. You're not doing that with Trace, realistically. AD is a different story. You can give it to him down low and facilitate some offense from down there. You can also run a lineup that features him and Post at the same time. There it gives you some massive shooting and QP who can step out and knock some threes. You got Jimmy Butler who could play the 3, Moses Moody, Steph Curry. Like that to me is a pretty damn good 5. It's a gamble, because if it goes awry and he's hurt and this is just who Anthony Davis is at this point, he's someone that's over the hill and he can't stay healthy, then it's a disaster. But again, what is the alternative? Going out and getting Sabonis and Keon Ellis, those are names that I've heard, trying to, get together with Sacramento again and say, here, we are going to trade you Jonathan Kuminga. Let's take on Sabonis. Let's take on Ellis. First of all, Sabonis is hurt. Anthony Davis is the healthy one right now. So you can point to the past and what you think the future is going to look like. But the present says that the guys that are hurt are actually the ones that some Warriors fans want to grab. Now, when it comes to Jonathan Kuminga, we're still waiting on the official status. It was said that he scrimmaged with DeAnthony Melton on Wednesday, I believe it was, at Chase Center with the Santa Cruz Warriors, and that they looked pretty good, and both should be ready to return at some point in the near future. Kuminga is obviously a big X factor to this entire thing, because he was playing good basketball to start this season. Not just good, he was playing great basketball to start this season. And that's when the Warriors were playing their best. He fell off a bit. I thought he started taking too many threes, started not hitting threes like he was at the beginning. The defense left a lot to be desired. And that just, is what it is. And Here's the new rule of this show. If I say something bad about Kuminga, also say something bad about Podziemski, because apparently that's what everyone wants to hear. Pods has really struggled. They need more from this dude. If not, give the minutes to Will Richard. Give some minutes to GP2. Give some minutes to dudes that are going to lock down and defend, not get beat off the dribble, and not turn the basketball over by just stalling the offense. Because he doesn't necessarily turn it over with your live ball TOs. He just stops things. It's like you get stuck in the mud. The tires just, you can't get out of the mud for whatever reason. And that wasn't the player when I bought all these shares that I now don't know what to do with. I guess I'm holding on. I bought 5 million shares of the penny stock that was Brandon Podziemski his rookie year. It's because I saw things like a high IQ player that moved the ball quickly, that knew how to get to his spots, that had the ability to be an elite jump shooter, that had a nice little fadeaway, kind of like a leaner to the baseline that he could knock down, that was hitting the 40% clip from three, that was good in transition because he was crafty. And now all those things that I saw in him don't appear to be true. Kind of slows down the offense, makes decisions and kind of gets stuck with the decision he makes, and, puts his teammates in bad spots potentially when he passes it their way. Not only that, it says that he's hitting threes at a 37% clip, but it doesn't necessarily seem like that. When he has big shots and opportunities to pull the Warriors within striking distance, it feels like he's been missing those shots. Defensively, he gets cooked. Rebounding numbers are always good for Podziemski, but the assist numbers, it feels like they're down with me not looking at them off the top. And then most importantly, in transition, where he used to be really good with that little Pinoy step, it's not fooling anyone right now. The craftiness ain't fooling anyone. And because of that, he doesn't have the power to finish through people. He relies on that craftiness and that, tactic. And it just has not been working. And if that has not been working, then he's not someone that should get 35 minutes per game. He's someone that should come off the bench and give you 18, which we saw Kerr do the other day. And he went back to his old ways of giving him 30. And look, yes, I agree. Will Richard should be playing more. But at the end of the day, it's a flawed roster. If there was someone out there that clearly deserved 32 minutes in a given game, I think that player would be getting 32 minutes in a given game. But Will Richard has his flaws too. He doesn't turn it over nearly as much. But aside from that 30-point game against Sacramento, for the most part, he's not necessarily creating. He's someone that moves the ball, that cuts at the right times, that can knock down open threes, that's shown the ability to knock down some tough threes as well. But I'm to the point in the season where if he continues to play this well, Will Richard, and Pods continues to be this mediocre, Will Richard's just as old as Pods. I trust him just as much on the floor. And whether Will Richard's as good as handling the basketball as Podziemski, that to me doesn't matter, because at a certain point, if you can handle the ball but can't really facilitate in the offense and get stuck and, pick up your dribble at inopportune times, then how does that help out your team? It doesn't. All right, let's continue this conversation. Coming up, I want to get into more of how trades could help this team and how the Warriors are going to get out of being soft and figuring this thing out ahead of this game against the New Orleans Pelicans on Saturday.
Destroy Jimmy and Domino's. I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
All right, today's episode is brought to you by America's #1 sportsbook. That is FanDuel. Now's a great time to get on with America's #1 sportsbook because they're official partner of the NBA season. And the thing that I love most about FanDuel is live lines, because you can do player live lines, you can bet on the team, you can go over/under live lines. And the best thing about it is you can get some really, really good odds from playing those live lines. Like the other day, if you weren't a believer that the Warriors were going to beat the Houston Rockets, you could have gotten the Rockets with plus points. You could have gotten the Rockets at plus 160 when they were down 12. That's how you get the great odds. You bank on teams getting off to a bad start. You don't hit that money line beforehand. And then when you get a team in a position that you want them in, that's when you strike. It keeps every game more exciting. Plus your payouts are quick. And when your team's making that late push, you want to get in on that live line. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, let's get back to the show.
Forget that. We champs. Why are you starting with that question? We got 4 championships.
I want to know what you guys think in the comments. What is the issue right now for Golden State? Is it the tenacity that Draymond Green is talking about? Because that soundbite did say a lot about what the Warriors stars are kind of thinking about this team collectively. There's not that will, there's not that want. Not every game, but a lot of these games feel like that Indiana game a day after Halloween, where you had it and you just didn't finish the job. Houston felt that way. It felt like you could have beaten Houston. You got them in an opportune time. No Steven Adams. That guy gets like 15 rebounds a game against you. No Kevin Durant. Enough said. It's KD. And then they also didn't have Tari Eason, who's a nice role player himself. And you still weren't able to finish the job on your home floor. Fully healthy, mind you. Fully healthy. Kuminga, Melton, those guys. But in terms of Curry, Butler, whatever, Draymond, you're healthy, and you still aren't able to take down that Houston team. That's alarming. 10-10 at this point in the season is slightly alarming. Last year, we felt like the Warriors were going to kind of turn it on. The schedule would get a little easier. They'd turn it on. And what did they do? It was the opposite. The schedule got a little easier, and they just could not get over the hump. We heard these exact same sentiments a season ago. I'm pretty sure that soundbite may as well have been from last year, the Steve Kerr bite about him saying that, what did Bill Parcells say? You're as good as your record. He said that exact same thing last season. Now, was it at this point in the year? No, because the Warriors got off to that 12-3 start, and it took them until they were like 20-20 to hit 500 instead of 10-10. But the Dubs did not have this same sort of buying in issue when Jimmy joined the fold last year. It was sunshine and rainbows from day one. The fit was impeccable. The Warriors were winning games. It took them a while to go on any sort of a losing streak. And it has just not felt that way for the majority of the season. And as time goes on, you would think it gets harder to get the collection on the same page as compared to the opposite. And the Warriors are in no condition right now to, let's just see how it goes. They're in no condition. In my opinion, they're in the condition to blow this thing up before they just sit back and say, we're happy with the 8 seed, and let's see if we can somehow strike gold in the postseason because we have Steph Curry, even though we've been a middling 500 team this entire season. That to me is a no bueno. Because at some point, the Steph Curry contusion, it's not going to be a contusion. It's going to be Steph Curry retirement. And then what do you have? Yes, you have $150 million coming off the books at some point. You can try to lure Giannis and Jokic and some of these guys that are in the same free agency class to try and bridge the gap. You have plenty of draft picks right now, which in my opinion, 90% of them should be untouchable. I think you can get rid of one. If you give yourself one more shot, whether that guy is Zubac, whether that guy is Anthony Davis, whether that is just an elite point of attack defender, like if you think Herb Jones could come in and help this team win, or a package of Herb Jones and Trey Murphy from New Orleans, or hell, if you thought that Zion could somehow stay healthy here and he just wants to get out of New Orleans and has to get away from the gumbo and he comes out to the Bay Area and finds that the food out here is not that good. It's plenty good. That's one that I can't get on board with. Last winter, I would have said, go get Zion. He's young enough. He's fun enough. He can be a face of a franchise. It's the same thing over and over with him. It's Groundhog's Day, to where, like I say with the Warriors young guys, this 2 timelines that we've talked about, where so many people say, no, it's Steve Kerr's development of the guys, yada, yada. No, they're just not good enough. All of them collectively, they're not consistent enough. There are dudes in this league that are more consistent, that have better two-way games, that have more skill sets that they can bring every single night, to where you're not going to beat those other teams in a 7-game series if you don't have that. Straight up. And that's what's frustrating. It's frustrating seeing Reed Shepherd go out and give you, 28 points and at 19 or 20 years old, whatever Reed is, look like he's a legit NBA dude when you're still waiting on your, fifth year guys to fully put it together for a 2-week span at a time. That's what's frustrating. What's frustrating is going back 5 years ago where Bob Myers just made bad pick after bad pick after bad pick, and maybe not even bad pick, just not the great pick. Kolsky and I get into this argument all the time. He says that if Franz Wagner or Alperen Şengün was on the Warriors, that they would be just like Moses Moody or Kuminga and just solid. They wouldn't be who they are right now because they wouldn't have been given this leash to grow. And I just call BS. And the only way that we're going to find out truly is if and when a trade happens, or 2 years down the road when they leave in free agency and sign with someone else, is if they turn it up a notch and if they have another level in them. Then we can point to the coaching and say it was all development. But you look at some of the players that have left the Warriors, like Jordan Poole, guy can score, but hasn't really led to any winning since he's left. It doesn't look like, he's some game changer in the NBA. Now, could you have gotten more for him? Yes. Instead of a salary dump? Yes. There were just so many bad moves that were made, not the right moves that were made. And hindsight's 2020, right? It's easy to say, what if the Warriors had Franz Wagner instead of JK and Alperen Şengün instead of Moses Moody? Imagine the size, the length, the versatility that this team would have. Imagine a squad with Şengün and Franz and Jimmy Butler, or if not Butler, Andrew Wiggins and Curry and JK, or not JK, but Draymond. It looks a little bit different. And that is where I say over and over again that I do think it is roster construction, along with coaching, along with the top of the roster not playing well enough, along with Steph Curry throwing up some duds along the way, like against Indiana and some other teams, New Orleans, which they won. But it's a combination of everything. It's, Jimmy Butler not playing up to his near $60 million salary. It's Draymond Green giving you nothing on the offensive side of the ball, except from typically turning it over and being the hockey assist guy, or being someone that, utilizes Steph's gravity to drive, kick, find the open man, whatever. But right now, collectively, it is very clear that this team is just overall not good enough. So what are you going to do? Are you going to blow it up? I don't think that's happening personally. Are you going to sit content and wait for these young guys to all collectively figure it out? Maybe that does happen. Last year, I wrote them off. Hell, I wrote them off 2 weeks ago, and then they were right back after that sweep of the Spurs, and now I've written them off again. It's just what happens during a long season. But being content is not what I like here. It's a move that enhances the ceiling of this team somehow, some way. And to me, going out and getting Vooch, trading JK and Moody, or trading JK and a pick for Vooch, whatever, no thank you. Kobe White, on the other hand, he could score. He's going to help you there. But what has Draymond said? This team needs point-of-attack defenders. In my opinion, they need someone like Anthony Davis that can help with some rim protection down low and that would allow you to play a different way for the first time in a long time, some inside-out basketball. Because Klay Thompson, prime Klay Thompson, maybe, Klay Thompson right now, who John Morant thinks is a bum, maybe he'd be walking through that door if you make a deal with Dallas to get, Gafford and him, or 80 and him, whatever. Maybe you could use the shooting that he provides, although it's been a struggle for him this season, but he can still at least knock him down. But prime Klay Thompson's not walking through that door. Kevin Durant's not walking through that door. Bogut's not walking through that door. When you think of the Warriors' consistent poetry and motion offense, it was because there were so many damn weapons that could beat you. You had Steph's gravity, you had Durant's gravity, you had Klay Thompson's gravity, all at the same time, to where eyes were just going all over the place. You're running split action. You're getting easy buckets. Now, Steve Kerr, say what you want about him. The man is a tactician when it comes to offense. So he's going to get those types of plays now that other teams may not get, that are playing isolation. but you don't have the makeup to run a basketball team that way at all times. You need to go a little inside out. Zubac could be that big that could help out. Hell, Sabonis could be that big that would help out, but you just would have to give up a ton to get him. And is he going to get you over the top? You need a ceiling raiser or raisers, a point of attack defender, a big down low that can give you two-way basketball. That to me is on your Christmas wish list. Unfortunately, Christmas is coming soon. Santa's already reading the letters, and the Warriors have a week or two without Steph Curry here, being reevaluated in a week, to figure out what they are going to do. January 15th, a massive date. And honestly, the longer that they go without Seth Curry, because they were able to sign him November 11th. The reason they're not is for cap reasons in case some moves come into play that they need to make. They want the flexibility now. At some point, they may just need to say, you know what, forget flexibility. Let's bring in Seth here and see if another body can help this team out. DeAnthony Melton's going to be a nice addition. But do you think those two dudes are going to be enough to turn this team from 500 into legitimate championship contenders? And if you're not a legitimate championship contender and you have the opportunity to really expedite a rebuilding process that is coming at some point and is going to be terrifying to do these shows talking about 12-win basketball teams. Like I pray every night. I pray for those folks that have to do Locked On Wizards. Like, God bless. That would suck. I don't want that. So at a certain point, I mean, there can be trades that are made that potentially allow you to keep Steph Curry for his sunset tour, but still remain the same as like an 8 seed or whatever. And those deals obviously would be getting rid of JK for, potentially a draft pick instead of attaching a draft pick, getting a draft pick back, or Jimmy Butler. Now his salary makes it hard to move, but these are the types of things that Mike Dunleavy really has to be looking into right now. What's the goal here? Is it to win an NBA championship? What is this team ceiling? Now, are we extremely spoiled? Championship or bust mentality? Yes, we absolutely are. But when you have a generational dude on your team that could probably provide the greatest package we've ever seen in terms of trade history, like literally, you think Paul George was good? It would be very similar if they were to move Steph Curry. The issue is Paul George there was no loyalty between Oklahoma City and Paul George. Like he went there and won a playoff series or two, and he's more known as an indie guy than Oklahoma City. So they had no issues trading him out. The Warriors trading Steph Curry out, that's tough. You don't want to see him in any other uniform. So the only thing that you can do is raise this ceiling as high as possible. Is this team's ceiling as high as possible with the current iteration of who they have running out there? I don't think so. At some point, we need to accept it. You are what your record says you are. We'll let Steve Kerr tell it to us again on the way out.
Bill Parcells say you are what your record says you are. So we're 10-10. We're an average team. And
Amen. 10-10, average team. You could be above average if you beat the Pelicans. If you lose to the Pelicans, I don't know what to say, everyone. This is Locked On Warriors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Peace.